After a disappointing season of hacks and losses, I had one more chance to redeem myself: the World Championships. Last event, I lost to Flinch, but I can't be blaming everything on luck. I also have to take into account the fact that for game 2 and 3 I made adjustments that were not correct. So my first obstacle was to quickly find ways to adapt quickly and find out why I lost the previous games so that I can win games 2 and 3 in the future. After countless online tournaments that I made with the Decoy team, I finally figured it out. I wasn't thinking. I'd gotten so used to playing with my NAIC team, where I just clicked 4 buttons, that I felt like I wasn't really using the rest of the 6. I was finding one lead and spamming it over and over and over and over. But unfortunately, I didn't fully resolve the issue in time. I needed a team, and quickly. After building with my friend, we finally perfected his early format team: Landers Therian, Amoonguss, Thunderous, Heatran, Urshifu Rapid, and Fluttermane. Although not many changes occurred since the beginning of the format, this team was incredibly strong when piloted by a very strong player. I thought I was on pace to achieve my goal of 1700s before the World Championships. We have super stacked locals where I'm from. And honestly, our locals are probably harder than senior regionals. One of our players was even a regional finalist, and it's really tough to do well there. Usually I went 2-1, but this time I went 0-3. I thought it was just bad luck, but my habit of blaming everything on luck came back to bite me. 1-2, and then 0-3. What was wrong? The team was good. Was it just me? I knew I didn't have time to change, but I didn't want to make the same mistake twice. I know that for the sake of getting better, I have to stick with this balanced team. So the days pass by of hard work and prep until I get a message from my friend saying, "Dozo is the world's call." All of this prep and we're switching? This can't be right. We have less than a week. But alas, we switched. We perfected the team I used at NAIC. Dragonite, Xianpao, Dozo, Geary, Fluttermane, and Chiyu. I felt comfortable, but I knew that I wasn't good enough to win. I knew that I had a good chance of making my goal at day 2, but I didn't have confidence I could go much further than that. So I hopped on Showdown and went from 1500s to 1600s to 1700s in a day? That was easy, but how? I struggled to make 1600s with the other team, but I made it up here without dropping a game. I guess the only way to go was up. I was aiming for 1800s, but my friend, knowing that we had a super strong team, told me to stop playing so no one catches on. After sets against each other and a long flight, I made it to Yokohama, Japan for the World Championships. It was nerve-wracking, but I felt surprisingly calm. This is my first tournament I felt calm for. So I sit down, take a deep breath, and start the game. Tornadus, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Ursaluna, Oranguru, and Gholdengo. Looking at the matchup, I see one troubling thing: Rillaboom. If I can deal with Rillaboom, then I think I instantly win with Dozo, until I look further down on the sheet and see Thunderbolt Gholdengo. My Dozo is pretty much all physical bulk, so a super effective hit on a Specs Gholdengo, that thing needs to die. He leads Tornursh as expected, and I lead Dragonite Xianpao. Then I realize that nothing is wrong with me clicking the funny Outrage button. So I Outrage and then Ice Spinner into Torn. Urshifu protects us, Tornadus Tailwinds. Ice Spinner luckily knocks out the Torn. After the Urshifu kills Xianpao next turn, Dragonite hits Rillaboom with Outrage, barely missing the KO. Then Dozo enters the field and clicks the funny move called Order Up into Rillaboom. Gholdengo comes in for Rillaboom after it faints, and Dozo eats another Mystic Water Surging Strikes and then a Thunderbolt. Then I feel my heart beat faster and faster until Dondozo is paralyzed. Dondozo couldn't move because of its paralysis. I got my only crit of the tournament in game 2 against his Oranguru. It didn't matter. Then in game 3, my favorite words ever, a critical hit, appeared on my screen after Bleakwind Storm hit my Dondozo on turn 1. After signing the slip and walking away, I was livid. Game 2 was against a North American player who I recognized from NAIC. Zoroark, Azelf, Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Glamora, and Fluttermane. This is gonna be a fun one. He went for the Sea-Grid Zoroark Azelf tech, where you Terra Normal Choice Band Explosion on Azelf and attack with Zoroark. Luckily, I read it. Leading Chiyu Flutter and using Terra on my Chiyu, he sacked his Terra and his Azelf. I cleaned up the rest of the game with Dozo and I won game 1. Now, I realized that I automatically win this Dondozo mirror because he doesn't have any non-resistant hits for Terra Grass Dozo while I have Order Up for his Terra Grass. So if I can find a way to conserve Terra for Dondozo, then I always win this endgame. So I lead Xianpao Fluttermane being immune to the explosion and protecting Xianpao, doing some damage to Zoroark, and eventually cleaning up the game with my Terra Grass Dondozo. After winning that set, I still feel pretty bad. 1-1 is disappointing. I can lose one more before I'm on my last life, and it's round 3. The next set is against a Japanese player named Hideo Nakamura. Fluttermane, Cresselia, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Ursaluna, and Talonflame. So tell me, what does he do into Flutter Chiyu? Nothing. Flutter Chiyu against Cresselia and Rillaboom. I'm completely fine if he fakes out Chiyu, so I just go for Heat Wave and Moonblast into Rillaboom. Cresselia Terras into Fairy, and I do good damage to Rillaboom. He gets Trick Room up, and it's not looking good. until I realized that he has no answer to Terradozo, so I click Heatwave Moonblast, knocking out both and revealing his last mons, Ursaluna and Urshifu. After doing my best to stall out Trick Room, I send in Dondozo and Tatsugiri with 2 turns left in Trick Room. I reuse Ursaluna to protect, and it does, getting the order up into Urshifu, breaking its sash. I Wave Crash into the Ursaluna while it protects, and then I hit it again with the Wave Crash, knocking it out. The next game goes similarly, winning me this set, 2-1. It's a pretty good record, and I only need to win 2 more games to advance to day 2, so let's do it. My next game is against another Japanese player named Tomoharu Kumada. Gholdengo with Thunderbolt, of course, Urshifu, Xianpao, Tornadus, Rillaboom, and Dragonite. It's fine. I got Dozo in a dream. Torn Urshifu versus Dragonite and Xianpao. Classic. I read Torn to Terra Ghost, Bleakwind, and Urshifu to protect, and it does, locking it to Outrage and Sucker Punch, and I get it right, knocking out the Tornadus, pretty much winning me the game from there. Next game I expect him to non-Terra Tailwind and attack with Urshifu. I get it wrong, but the game is still in my favor. He protects Urshifu and sets up Tailwind, this time without Terra. After killing Torn, I need to deal with this pesky Terra Steel Gholdengo. I get to make it rain off, OHKOing my Dragonite and killing my Xianpao. It's alright, I got Dondozo. I send in Dondozo and click the funny Earthquake button, killing both. Then it's a Rillaboom against Dozo, but I still have Terra, winning me the game, the set, and putting me at 3-1. One more to go. This could potentially be my final round if I win. If I win, I qualify for day 2, achieve my goal, and have the opportunity to play in the day 2 of competition. If I lose, all it takes is another bad matchup to take me out. Round 5 starts, and I'm up against another Japanese player named Oi Sugimura. Clodsire, Ursaluna, Cresselia, Fluttermane, Iron Hands, and Dark Urshifu. If this Dark Urshifu is under the right conditions, it can sweep my entire team. I lead with Fluttermane and Chiyu against Hands Cresselia. I go for the Terra on my Chiyu and overheat into his Cresselia, denying Trick Room. He brings in Fluttermane, and I switch in Dozo. No critical hit. Dondozo Wave crashes into his Ursaluna, knocking it out. Flutter hits it with a Thunderbolt. No crit, no para. But Dozo was low now. Since I have Chiyu Flutter in the back, there's no way he can win. Game 2 starts as he leads Urshifu Crest. Urshifu Wicked Blows my Fluttermane. Getting it in Sucker Punch range as Trick Room goes up. Trick Room is up and Ursaluna comes out. Ursaluna knocks out both of my Pokemon with Earthquake once Flame Orb activates. Dozo comes in and he goes for the Terra Water on Ursaluna. I can't do enough damage and Ursaluna Facade does too much to my Dozo, losing me game 2. Game 3, I'm able to deny Trick Room turn 1, essentially reliving the same situation as game 1. And everything goes the same. I deny Trick Room, knock out his Ursaluna, and win the game, putting me in day 2. Now, this is when things fall apart. Today was, for lack of a better term, a mess. A day full of crits and misses and burns. I won round 1, lost 2, won 3, lost 4, and then won 5, and then lost 6 and 7. This ends the day with 3-4, which is 40th. Let's go over the highlights. Game 1 was against a Glastrier Trick Room team, which Fluttermane Chiyu ate for breakfast. Game 2 was against a Torn Urshifu team, and I can't be too mad about this one because I did lose to my own misplay, but I did get burned, but in all fairness, I did dodge some Rock Slide, so I'm not too mad about that one. Round 3 was against another basic Trick Room team, leading Flutter Chiyu, winning me the game. Round 4 was the one that really made me tilt. I lost game 1 because of a bad lead, and then game 2 I was feeling confident with Dozo POW lead, switching into Geary and instantly killing Fluttermane and Tornadus, pretty much removing every single threat that Dondozo has. So unsurprisingly, turn 2, when I switch in Dondozo, the worst words possible appear on my screen. A critical hit. Flutter Chiyu can't beat other Fluttermane and Tornadus under Tailwind. Game 5 was against a Regidrago Trick Room team, which I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't prepare for. My Dondozo isn't very especially bulky, so all it takes is Regidrago under Tailwind to instantly knock it out. It came down to a game 3, but I lost. In the round 6 for top 32, it came down to an endgame where it's Tatsugiri versus Fluttermane. If I hit Muddy Water, I won. And I missed. Missing out on top 32 because of Tatsugiri. I feel like if I would have gotten luckier, I could have cut. This is when I decided to make a vow to never use Dozo again. It served me well, but there's always one single turn where a critical hit can instantly lose me the game. Thank you all for watching.